Hi and welcome to the Book Club. I'm Björn, and it's that time of the month when we look at the new and upcoming non-fiction releases. And this time it's for November. I got 4 books for you. It's a mix of biographies, ancient wisdom, and a book on AI from a late statesman that you probably recognize the name of. I will keep it short and sweet today, so let's jump right into it. I have a bit of a makeshift studio here because it's very late and my family is sleeping, but that won't stop me from presenting the books that I found this month. I've been out with my lantern looking in the publishing houses and found a few books. It's quite a short list actually this month for some reason. But I'll just jump right into it with one book that really excites me, and it's How to Think Like Socrates, Ancient Philosophy as a Way of Life in the Modern World. It's by Donald J. Robertson. It's 369 pages and it's out on November 19th. How to Think Like Socrates is an accessible and informative guide to the life of one of the greatest thinkers in history, and the first book that is focused on applying his ideas to everyday life. The author, Donald J. Robertson, teleports the reader back to ancient Athens, expertly weaving together a page-turning account of a philosopher who eschewed material pleasures and stood by his beliefs even in the face of controversy, with a steadfastness that ultimately resulted in his execution. I have read this author before and I really enjoyed this book. This is the book I read, Stoicism and the Art of Happiness. I have a full review of this in the description below. This book is, of course, about Stoicism, my favorite philosophy, probably, and it's one of the first books on the subjects that I've read, and I really liked this one, with the caveat that I thought it was a little bit too much like a textbook. I think this book is quite old right now, so I hope his way of organizing his books has improved over the years. He's been releasing books ever since this book came out in 2013. I recommend this book. How to Think Like Socrates highlights the continuing value of the Socratic method to the modern life. As a practicing cognitive behavioral psychotherapist, Robertson also uses his expertise to reveal many parallels between the evidence-based concepts and techniques of modern psychology and the philosophy of Socrates, and shows how his philosophical insights can guide and benefit all of us to this day. What I really like about this book, and what I like about the promise of this book, is that it's practical. It's ancient wisdom applied to modern life, and that's the kind of books that I like. Socrates is a person I want to learn more about. I understand that he could be annoying during his time with all these questions. I just want to dive into this book. The second book on the list is Genesis, Artificial Intelligence, Hope and the Human Spirit by Henry Kissinger. It's 288 pages. It's out on November 19th. So what is this book about? In his final book, the late Henry Kissinger joins forces with 2 leading technologists to mount a profound exploration, quote by Walter Isaacson, the famous biographer, of the epochal challenges and opportunities presented by the revolution in artificial intelligence. A breakthrough that dramatically empowers people in all walks of life while also raising urgent questions about the future of humanity. The reason I found this AI book out of the many AI books that are released every month, it's been the same thing throughout the year. It's 5-7 AI books that come out each month by like prominent authors. The reason I put this one on the list is because of Henry Kissinger. I think his involvement can just provide different perspective on the challenges of AI. And if you don't know who Henry Kissinger is, he is a German-born American diplomat, and he's been national security advisor for several presidents, and he's been a key figure in setting US foreign policy. This guy has been through a lot, he has seen a lot, and it would be interesting to see his take on artificial intelligence. Quote, The last book of elder statesman Harry Kissinger, written with technologists Craig MUNDIE and Eric SCHMIDT, Genesis charts a course between blind faith and unjustified fear as it outlines an effective strategies for navigating the age of AI. This book feels like it could be a hit or a miss. I would at least pick it up and read the first couple of chapters to get a feel for it. It could be an interesting one. But let's jump right into book number 3. Angela Merkel, Freedom. It's an autobiography of her and her memoirs between 1954 and 2001. It's a hefty 720 pages and it's released on November 26th. For 16 years, Angela Merkel was Chancellor of Germany and at the forefront of European and international politics. In her memoir, she looks back at her life in 2 German states: East Germany until 1990 and the reunified Germany thereafter. How did she, coming from the East, rise to the top of the Christian Democratic Union to become the first woman to hold office as a chancellor? And how did she then become the most powerful head of government in the Western world? What guided her? This book stood out to me. I was reading a lot of presidential biographies a couple of years ago, mostly American, and I thought maybe I should read some other people as well. And the first name that came to mind was Angela Merkel. I would like to know more about her. I don't know much about her, but I'm ready to explore what she is about. She's been around for a long time, and I would just love to know more. So when this popped up when I was doing my research, I thought, this is something that I want to highlight. In Freedom, Angela Merkel recounts the daily life in the consular's office as well as the dramatic days and nights when she made far-reaching decisions in Berlin, in Brussels and beyond. Here, she takes us behind the curtains of international politics and demonstrates both the importance of personal conversation and, crucially, its limits. This book is an autobiography, and there's probably a lot of biographies about her that are really good, and if you know about any of those, list them in the comments below. I would love to have more alternatives to pick from. And while you're down there, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, then we'll make sure that next time I put up a video, it will pop up in your feed and similar content will be shown to you. So if you appreciate the book lab, please do that. It helps me reach more people. I put out breakdowns of the upcoming nonfiction releases every month, and every week I put up book reviews of the best nonfiction books known to man. But now let's jump into book number 4. Ingenious, a biography of Benjamin Franklin. It's 256 pages and it's out on November 12th. Quote, "The dramatic story of an ingenious man who explained nature and created a country." Benjamin Franklin was one of the prominent scientists of his time. Driven by curiosity, he conducted cutting-edge experiments on and research on electricity, heat, ocean currents, weather patterns, chemical bonds, and plants. But today, Franklin is more remembered for his political prowess and diplomatic achievements than his scientific creativity. I am a big admirer of Benjamin Franklin. I've read his autobiography, which is great, and I recommend it. And I read a thick-ass biography by Walter Isaacson called Benjamin Franklin, I guess. So I've studied this guy a bit. The reason this book stood out to me because it promises to tell his story in a more story-like fashion, and it's also only 256 pages, which makes it quite digestible. So it will be a nice recap of what I've read a couple of years ago in a more bite-sized manner. And why do I admire him? Well, I admire his curiosity and his outlook on life. His eyes were open. This guy tried a lot of different things. He was an experimenter. He was a Renaissance man. He was polymath. And he had a sense of humor too. I know he did something, I think he wrote an article at some point about creating a perfume or substance that would alleviate the smell of farts, for instance. In 1781, Benjamin Franklin decided to write about a truly important scientific topic: flatulence. Quote, "It is universally well known that in digesting our common food there is created or produced in the bowels of the human creature a great quantity of wind." I guess all of this was written as a joke, but this guy still had a sense of humor. Now back to the book. Munson's riveting narrative explores how science underpins Franklin's entire story, from tradesman to inventor to nation founder, and argues that Franklin's political life cannot be understood without giving proper credit to his scientific accomplishment. And I remember when reading the long-ass biography about this guy, what really got my attention was Benjamin Franklin, the experimenter, rather than the statesman. So this book is right up my alley. As we do on this channel, because this was actually the end of the list, I have my own theories why the list was so thin. I think these are powerful books that I mentioned, but I looked through the list and it was not that many big releases this month. And I think there's one culprit, and I think it's the election that people want to stay away from. I think publishers are smart enough to know that the US election will probably eat most of the mind share of people during November, and probably that's why they stayed out of that release window. So I'm glad I found these 4 books, and I'm gonna pick of the week, or to be frank, I'm gonna have two ones this month. It happens from time to time, but let's be fair, sometimes some months are better than others. And I will pick How to Think Like Socrates, Ancient Philosophy as a Way of Life in the Modern World. This book speaks to me. I'm ready for another philosophy book. It's been a while. I'm ready for more Socrates, and Donald Robertson is a guy, an author that I enjoy. So it's a safe card for me, and it's also in line with my current interests. And the second book is the Benjamin Franklin book. It will be a recap for me about this fascinating guy who's probably in my top 3 list of most inspiring people that I know throughout all of history. He's in the top 3. He is a true inspiration to me, so I would love to get some more Franklin in my life. That's the list for this month. Please let me know in the comment which one of these books you would like to read, and also if I missed any key releases. That happens from time to time. I'll be back next week with more book reviews. I know I promised to put up my review of How the Other Half Lives this week, but I've been a little bit short on time, and things are a bit hectic, and I'll probably put up a video also more about like some personal stuff and general thoughts about my reading so far, and I can tell you more about why I'm in this makeshift studio and what is going on in my life for the few that might be interested in that. And until then, happy reading. Björn out. Take care.